Good afternoon, all of you. You all are again welcome to the session 3 of day 2. The expert of this session is Professor Sunil Mittal. We welcome you, sir, to the session 3 of day 2 of this 5-day FDP on base technology. So before start of the lecture, let me take the privilege to introduce Professor Sunil Mittal with you all. He is the Associate Dean, School of Environmental and Earth Sciences, and also the head of Department of Environmental Science and Technology. He is also holding the post of member of state level Environment Impact Assessment Authority. He has around 15 years of experience in teaching and industry. He works in the field of air, water, soil pollution, hazardous management, and development of biosensors as well. He has published nearly 50 research papers in national and international journals, and among 3 having impact factor more than 10. He also handled research projects of more than 2 crores. He has guided 5 PhD students, 13 MPhil students, and more than 30 MSc students. Now I request Professor Mittal to start with his lecture, please.
Thank you, Engineer Sukhdeep. I hope my voice is clear to you all.
Yes, sir. Perfectly audible, sir.
Yeah. Good afternoon to all. First of all, before starting my presentation, I am thankful to Professor Rakesh Kumar, HOD and coordinator of this program, for giving me this opportunity. I am thankful to Engineer Sukhdev for introducing me in such a scientific, crisp and short way. Before starting my presentation, I know you all listened to 3 sessions. I say wonderful sessions on vermicompost, wasteland, e-waste, etc. And by very senior scientists and even my teachers. So I will try to keep the same momentum. So I have come to know that this is a diverse group. So I will try to make the presentation simple, but this will be definitely be a little bit different than others. I will try to keep myself within time and try to complete it by 4 o'clock, the time given to me. Sukhdeep, is it 4 or 4:30?
It is up to 4, sir, but that can be extended to 4:30 also in the questioning round as well.
Okay, thank you so much.
Interaction round can be there.
Okay, so dear all, waste is a product. Actually, nothing is waste. When we talk about the word waste, there is nothing is waste. But at the same time, with the industrialization, with the modernization, with the technology, a lot of the products are there which we do not use after some time, and we say them, these are waste for me. This is basically a relative term, maybe a waste for one and maybe of some use to other. And each and everything can be recycled nowadays, or reprocessed or reused, whatsoever is there. However, since modernization and industrialization, a lot of waste is coming out, even from our houses, from our agriculture. So the government of India has, with different times, has come up with various waste management rules. And in 2016, the government came across 6 waste management rules. Among these, plastic waste management rules were introduced first time in 2016 as a specific waste management by year. E-waste management rules also not introduced first time. These were available earlier also, but rechanged and remodified according to the present needs. Then there were introduction of biomedical waste management rules. Then construction and demolition waste management rules also came first time. And I think so for civil engineers or people from civil, maybe of more important, or architecture people. Then comes the hazardous and other wastes management and transboundary movement rules 2016, and the most common are the solid waste management rules 2016. So waste is all around us, but it becomes very difficult many of the time to define what type of waste it is, because the boundary between these is very thin. For example, sometimes we say this is a medical waste, but out of that a part is maybe a hazardous waste, out of that a part may be a solid waste or plastic waste. So today I will be mainly talking about the hazardous waste. So I'm just sharing my presentation. Yeah, is it uh, visible to all?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Visible, sir.
Okay, thank you. So I will be mainly talking about hazardous waste in India, and will take to you a site, actual site, that how hazardous waste is managed there, what is the process, what are the techniques, what is the path flow followed in this. So starting in general with what is hazardous waste. Basically, most of us may be thinking that we are not using hazardous waste in day-to-day life, but we are using a lot and lot of hazardous waste in our routine lives without knowing that this is a hazardous waste. Like we are using mobile batteries. This is a hazardous waste. We are having lot many of chemicals nowadays in our homes. These are hazardous wastes. So it is a thin line that what is hazardous and what is not hazardous. So by definition, any waste which by reason of its physical, chemical, reactive, toxic, flammable, explosive or corrosive characteristics causes or is likely to cause danger to health or environment, whether alone or when in contact with the other wastes or substances, would define such substances as hazardous waste. Now you can make a list around you what are the chemicals which are inflammable, reactive, toxic, explosives, and what ultimately we are doing to these in our homes unknowingly. So hazardous waste is one of the property waste classification of waste. It depends on physical and chemical properties of the waste. Not only India, some other agencies much prior to us defined the hazardous waste. The United States of America Resource Conservation and Recovery Act defines hazardous waste as any waste that is toxic or hazardous if they cause or significantly contribute to increase in mortality or increase in serious irreversible or incapacitating reversible illness, or pose a substantial present or potential hazard to human health or environment when improperly treated, transported, or disposed of, or otherwise managed. In India, EPA Act 1986, EPA means Environment Protection Act 1986 defines hazardous substance as any substance which by chemical, physico-chemical properties and handling liable to cause damage to human beings and other living organisms of the environment. The waste, hazardous waste has been mainly classified into 6 categories. These are radioactive, biomedical, toxic chemicals, flammable waste, explosives, and household hazardous waste. And there should be 4 main characteristics as defined in USA Department of Transport regulations. It is ignitability, corrosivity, reactivity, and toxicity for a substance to be called as hazardous waste. So next comes the sources of waste. Although I'm mainly talking about the industries, but all the products from these industries are ultimately reaching to our houses, to our pockets even, and we all are coming to contact to all these hazardous waste in our day-to-day life. And non-ferrous metal processing, acid and fertilizer production, petrochemical processing, organic chemical processing, dyes and pigment protection, textile and fiber dyeing, and pharmaceutical production. These are some of the major sources of hazardous waste in environment. So next, talking about the international rules regarding to the hazardous waste applicable in India. So the major environmental law applicable for hazardous waste in India are Basel Convention on Control of Transboundary Movement of Hazardous Waste and their disposal, and India ratified this treaty on 5th May 1992. Then there is a Rotterdam Convention on prior informed consent procedure for certain hazardous chemicals and pesticides in international trade. India is also signatory to this. Then during Stockholm Convention on persistent organic pollutants, India signed in 2001 and effective since 2004. Then there was a Minamata Convention specifically on movement of mercury. Mercury is one of the most hazardous chemical, and it was signed in October 2013 and is effective since 2017. Then, so with the industrialization, a lot of the hazardous waste started produced by our industries, and it is ultimately reaching to our homes. So in 2003, Supreme Court ordered that all states generating hazardous waste should need to make a TSDF facility in their states. The states having more than 2000 TPA production of hazardous waste are required to make TSDF means treatment, stabilization or storage and disposable facility for the hazardous waste. Now in next few slides we will be discussing what are the hazardous waste management and handling rules in India. Though these are very long, but I will be mainly informing you. There were initially in July 2019, the government of India came up with hazardous waste management and handling rules, 1989. These were then replaced by hazardous waste management, handling and transboundary movement rules in 2008. And now these has again been revised in 2016 with the almost same name. And the difference between all these has during the years has come is the number of categories that are now in the list of hazardous waste. So I'm not going to the detail of each and every point. For example, in 1989, there was only one schedule with 18 categories. In 2008 also schedule remains same, and but there was another schedule was added, schedule 2, and finally in 2016 schedule 1 has 44 processes and schedule 2 3 categories for waste concentration limits and so on. So likewise, the major point, initially these hazardous waste management sites were given authorization for 2 years, but then in 2000 it changed to 5 years, and same continued in the 2016 guidelines. And so next, the priorities of these all rules were to basically handling of this waste. So ranking of options in hazardous waste management follows widely accepted hierarchical preferences for waste management in general. These are waste avoidance and waste minimization, recycling of hazardous waste, and safe disposal of hazardous waste generator. Actually, these are the 3 categories which are common to almost all type of wastes, where we talk about 3R principle, or we talk about recycling, reuse, refurbish is nowadays a new word is coming up. So the main priority should be first waste avoidance and then waste minimization. But nowadays we cannot avoid or minimize waste. For example, if I'm talking about the electronic waste, it's increasing mainly because every few years, or nowadays every year, the technology changes and it becomes outdated, and you are forced to even if it is working, even then you are forced to change or switch over into a new technology because of this is becoming outdated. Most of the products nowadays are coming with only use and throw basis. So once you use it, or once it has any problem, it cannot be rectified, and you don't have any other option other than to throw to it. So this concept of recycling is also nowadays, or reuse is also nowadays become difficult due to very fast changing scenario of the technology. However, in such conditions, the most important for us is the safe disposal of hazardous waste generator. And I would like to add here the chemical we have used in last 6 months. All these are practically hazardous chemicals which we are using. You all know, if we talk about ethanol, methanol, or propanol, whatsoever we are using in our sanitizers, all these are flammable and practically hazardous, but nowadays we don't have any option other than to use these. So moving on to hazardous waste scenario in India. From here onwards, I will be talking basically in 2 ways. One will be the how practically waste is managed at a TSDF site, hazardous waste management site. And after that, I will be talking to you hazardous waste management scenario in India. So rapidly increasing population, industrialization, urbanization, healthcare facilities and various public utilities are producing huge quantities of hazardous waste. किसी ने माइक ऑन किया है, काफी डिस्टरबेंस आ रही है. इफ थैंक यू सो मच. So generation of hazardous waste is rising at significant rate from person to community, household to industry, and state to national level. Many states of India do not have hazardous treatment and disposal sites. But now, as of 2020, this is not true, because now almost, except 2-3 states, almost all the states have come up with a working TSDF that I will be showing you in the second part of this. And presently there are 72 contaminated sites due to hazardous waste spread in 12 states of India as per Central Pollution Control Board report 2017. And it states that we need more than 1,000 to 4,500 crore rupees to effectively reclaim these contaminated sites. So this is basically a result that we started very late. Our country started very late for the construction of the TSDF sites, and it was only after the Supreme Court in 2003 that the states or the pollution control boards have started working in this direction. But as of now, our situation is very good. Almost all the states have TSDF facilities. But whatsoever have been contaminated, that accounts to more than 1,000 crore rupees, which we have to ultimately reclaim with the time. So as I talked that from here onwards, I will be mainly talking about the hazardous waste management process, treatment, storage, and disposal. And this is one of the real site. Pic is from a real site of a hazardous waste management facility in India. So earlier, if we used to visit most of the industries, this was the scenario with the having waste stored in their premises with the danger sign outside on the wall, and with these type of sheds, sludge storage shed, gate 1 shed, and for different type of sludge they used to have different type of sheds for the storage of this. And the most important I would like to add to this was that there was a big problem. A lot of cost was coming up on this storage, and this storage was very harmful for all the people or all the employees who were handling this, from starting from shifting to disposing. And most of this waste was illegally dumped into the you can say low-lying areas, or was illegally dumped to the nearby surface water bodies, or was illegally buried in the groundwater. And if we will try to search Google, we will find many of the stories, even in India, where illegal dumping of this caused a lot of environmental pollution, whether it was surface water pollution, groundwater pollution, soil pollution, so many of the things. Large number of problems were coming when this was the scenario. Whenever this shed was about to complete or was full with this hazardous waste, the industry started off disposing of this in a illegal way, and mainly illegal way because there were no facilities available for TSDF of this waste. That is why Supreme Court took note of it and instructed the state governments for the providing the TSDF facilities in a public-private PP in public-private partners. So now comes the steps in integrated hazardous waste management. Thus, main three steps, as the name indicates, is TSDF, treatment, storage, or stabilization and disposal facility. So there are basically now a large number of TSDF sites have come in the India. Almost each state has at least one, but many states like Gujarat, Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh, they have more than one TSDF site. And the basic three ways or three pathways are used for their disposal. And these are, first one are biodegradable organics, which accounts to less than 5%. Then non-biodegradable organics, less than 20%, and other having calorific value less than 3,200 kilocalorie per kg and are not toxic. These are directly filled in the landfill site. Whereas in case of biodegradable organics, non-biodegradable organics, and having calorific value less than 3,200 kilocalorie per kg and are toxic like metals, these are landfilled after stabilization. And finally, the third one is the biodegradable organics with non-biodegradable organics and calorific value more than 32 kilocalorie. Then dual chamber incineration is first done, converted to ash, stabilized, and then these are filled in the landfill site. So what is now coming on to what is the path followed in a TSDF site? How this waste is managed at a treatment, storage and disposable facility. So when initially the first step when government started setting up these TSDF sites, then the first thing came to the identification of the type of waste, so that at laboratory it can be so that at the waste management site it can be dumped in a or disposed of in a proper way. So there were different type of industries generating different types of pollutants or different type of the hazardous waste. So whole of the, I say, waste management site or disposable site or storage site was divided in such a way that a particular type of waste is stored in a or dumped in a particular type of area, so that the two different type of should not mix, should not react. So this was the initial concept, but practically there were many of the problems come when initially the factories or the industries started sending their waste to the waste management facilities. Industries tried to escape the rules, and different industries started mixing their wastes and sending it to the TSDF site, because this basically involves in some finances, because the TSDF site takes some money for disposal of their waste, and they have to do memorandum of understanding with the TSDF site that how much space or for how much waste they need the space, so that TSDF facility can calculate for how many years or for how long it will work, and after how many years there will be need of next TSDF facility. So many of the industries started illegally collaborating, and while sending the waste, they mixed the wastes, which led to lot of problems. Many a times industries were not knowing that their wastes are mutually reactive, and so there were many fire incidents were there, many other type of accidents were there. So after that, the TSDF facility decided to have a fingerprinting analysis of the waste. Practically, fingerprint analysis was that a industry is producing a particular type of waste, and it has some certain physical and chemical characteristics. Means if there is a, for example, a electroplating industry, it may be sending the zinc, chromium, or something like that. And there may be a pharmaceutical industry that may mainly be producing some of the organics or leftover of the medicines. So they started fingerprinting each and every industry, so that in case the whenever the waste come to their plant, they can reanalyze it, and if the specifications are matching with the fingerprint analysis or previous analysis, then they allowed this waste, and if it is not matching, then they didn't allow this waste, and it was sent for further. So that is why a path followed in the plant is listed here. So the first step was the sample registration, and after sample registration, it was sent to the laboratory for a either comprehensive analysis or fingerprint analysis. Comprehensive analysis was for first time for the new waste, and fingerprint analysis, as I explained to you all, for the routing for the which is coming second time, third time, or for which we already have comprehensive analysis, so that we should find that the composition of waste coming this time is same or different. If it is different, is it a mix of some other industry they have taken, or there may be some other causes? And in case of new, they used to make a comprehensive analysis report, and then waste enters the plant, or otherwise fingerprint analysis, physical verification. If it is matching, then it enters the plant, and if the report of fingerprint analysis failed, then contact the industry and letting them know what problems are there or what they have mixed. So if spot test or a detailed analysis failed, used to contact the industry. If it passed, it is advised to operation or inside the plant. Then after reaching the plant, there are different pathways which are followed. One is storage, and then after storage to incineration, and after incineration the ash is finally landfilled. Or if it is not if it is not fit for direct landfill, then stabilization, and post stabilization analysis is done, and finally it is sent to the landfilling site. But if the waste was fit for direct landfill, then the waste is directly sent for the landfill. This is a usual chart which is followed inside the TSDF facility. So registration, I will be explaining all these in short. Before entering the main premises of the plant, the waste is registered. Thereafter, the weigh bridge at the main entrance records all movements and weights and receives waste tracking receipt as required by the waste manifest system. Then waste manifest system includes details of the waste generator, waste transporter, quantity of the waste, characteristics of the waste, physical description, consistency of waste in terms of physical state and waste category as per hazardous waste management and handling rules. Then the material coming second time, third time is sent for fingerprint analysis. Waste facility is regulated for incoming waste to make sure it meets all the permitted requirements. In totality, there are 36 parameters that are measured in the plant, but only 10 parameters are done in the fingerprint analysis. If it fails, then all other parameters for comprehensive study are again made. Then spot test or detailed analysis. On receipt of waste at the facility, incoming hazardous or potentially hazardous waste are analyzed to enable. The basic purpose of this analysis is classification of the waste for identification of its pathway of treatment or disposal, as I discussed in the earlier slide and will again be discussing in the next few slides. A report is prepared regarding the operation type to be followed, and thereafter the waste is accordingly treated. Waste requiring treatment prior to landfill disposal or incineration shall be processed at the treatment plant. Waste that are suitable for direct incineration shall be just a minute please. Wastes that are suitable for direct incineration shall be sent to the incineration plant for destruction. Those wastes that are suitable for direct disposal into the landfill are sent for landfilling directly. And wastes that have potential reuse options after processing are given highest priority and are accordingly nowadays reused or sold to the industries. So stabilization is basically a process where we set its characteristics. We utilize a range of techniques and processes to change the physical, chemical or biological characteristics of the waste. A waste in its biodegradable form cannot be finally sent in a disposable site. It needs to be stabilized so that in future its characteristics should not change. If, for example, something is in a liquid state, we have to convert it to a solid waste. If it is in acidic form, we have to neutralize it to the pH 7 and so many things finally to stabilize all these materials. So the mechanism mainly used in stabilization process are immobilization or chemical fixation. The chemical binding of contaminants within a cementing structure to reduce the mobility or leachability of the waste. Another is encapsulation, where the occlusion or entrapment of contaminant particles is done within a solid matrix. Then is solidification, the conversion of slurries that do not readily dewater into solids by addition of adsorption agents. So the immobilization or application criteria for this is for heavy metal and metal planting sludge, copper, chromium, arsenic, wood preservative wastes, mercury waste, bag house dust, spent catalysts are stabilized using chemical fixation. In case of oil and paint sludge, bitumen waste, textile industry sludge, wool scoring slurries, solidification is done. And in case of aluminium powder, asbestos, etc., encapsulation is the preferred process. So the different type of equipments needed here are store facilities for reagents, agar system for transfer of materials, earth moving equipment for moving of wastes and mixing, trucks for hauling the wastes. And for operation, waste retrieval, reagent addition, mixing, currying, analysis of stabilized waste, transfer of waste materials, etc. are the processes used. And the advantages of using all these for the hazardous waste are safer to transport, safer to store, to remove, recover energy or natural resources from the waste, to render the waste non-hazardous or less hazardous, and safer to dispose of or reduce its volume. So next, moving on to storage. This is the area of plant where all incoming hazardous waste is stored until its pathway of disposal is determined. Internationally, there are certain wastes for which economically viable treatment techniques are yet not available, and these wastes are stored or are in store till now until alternate disposable technologies are made available. Most of the, as per guidelines, the plants have facility at least for storing waste for 3 days. And the storage area should have characteristics like proper ventilation, concrete or impermeable flooring, installation of fire contaminants, then drains provided around this area to avoid storm water entry. Then final disposal. Actually, final disposal in all the cases is practically a landfill. Either it is direct, either it is after stabilization, either it is after incineration. So the landfill is designed and constructed as a secure facility to contain the waste material and any leachate which is formed by the entrapped moisture or by infiltration of rainfall. Here, and even in first slide, I showed you a site under construction for the TSDF facility. So here are design specifications. Some of the terms are coming. A liner system at the base and sides of the landslide. It is basically a HDPE material, high density polyethylene material, which is to which we nowadays also called a word geoliners or geopolymers is also a word used for these liner systems nowadays. Then a leachate collection and treatment facility, a daily cover material that is spread on all open surfaces of the waste, a surface waste drainage system, and a closure and post-closure plan. Basically, closure and post-closure plan is final when this whole of the landfill site will fill with the hazardous material. Then after that, we have to have a closure and post-closure plan for this. For example, one of the site in Hyderabad, which completely filled, and after that it has been converted into a very beautiful golf course with a lot of around 30 feet of soil has been deposited on this, so that the effects should not come out and like this. So this is a basically, I can say, vertical diagram of a final TSDF facility, starting from its construction to final plan. Here we can see a substrata which is lined by a clay of 600 mm and compacted to a very high density. Then there is a HDPE liner. It is a secondary liner basically, and it does not allow any leachate to go below this, doesn't allow any leachate to pass it, and above this is a made a drainage layer, and along with that a secondary leachate collection system and leak detection system is laid over this. And then comes a geosynthetic clay liner of 7 to 8 mm above this, followed by another HDPE or primary liner. And this again contains a drainage layer of almost 300 mm. This is a primary leachate collection system, and above all these is a geotextile membrane, which is again a very high density membrane. And after this, the whole of the plant is divided into different segments for receiving different types of wastes. A particular type of hazardous waste is disposed of in a particular type of area, and after every few centimeters of disposal or a meter of disposal, depending on the type of hazardous waste, it is covered with a soil layer, followed by a HDPE layer, along with the drainage system and all that, and again the site is ready for the receiving the waste. So this is a process continued every time for different types of the wastes in different areas. This is a reason in waste sometimes the problems come that one area remains very deep, another becomes shallow, because in one area maybe receiving one type of waste is received in higher quantities and another in lower quantities. But okay, that's a different thing. The plant's problems are being faced. So basically, telling you what are the liner systems. All facilities are mainly designed with the double liner systems, meeting the subtitle C requirements of the Government of India plans while complying with national standards. So primary system is designed for prevention of leachate migration into the surface. The main aim is that the leachate should not migrate into the subsurface and contaminate the groundwater. So the base liner is a double composite liner with synthetic geomembrane and clay. The secondary system is provided a double safety and to provide an early warning of the potential damages in primary liner system. And it comprises of 0.6 meter thick clay compacted to a permeability less than 10 raised to power minus 9 meter per second. From this, you can think that what is the permeability, and if a small amount of water or if something has to uh, leach down, how much time it will take. And as I shown above this clay layer, there is a 2 mm HDPE liner with permeability less than 10 raised to power minus 14 meter per second. So above the secondary base liner, a primary liner comprising of 450 mm compacted clay liner and 2 mm HDPE membrane is placed to prevent infiltration into the secondary layer. Above the primary layer is a geotextile. So I will not be going into the detail what are the different liners. Basically, these are clay liners consisting of hydrated aluminum silicates which properly compacted form a soil mass with a very low hydraulic conductivity. Other things I have already discussed. Civil parameters may be interesting for civil people who are here. Float size of particles is less than 50 mm. Clay fraction 15%. Particles are of 75 micron. Plasticity index 10 to 30. Permeability less than 10 raised to power minus 9, and grading and finishing with 2% slope. So these are some of the photographs of a TSDF facility where you can see in the first one land filling base preparation is under preparation. Then after a few days land base preparation is in advanced stages. Then third one is compaction of side slopes, we can see here, and clay lining in the fourth one. So synthetic liners, I have already informed you, high density polyethylene with the different parameters. So why we are using these geoliners or these materials? The basic purpose is the basic is due to their adequate strength to withstand mechanical strength during construction, placement, and operations. Acceptable weathering performance, superior physical properties, and capability to withstand the seaming process. So here in the slides, you can see a HDPE liner, how this HDPE liner is laid down, and then how with using this welding set, these HDPE polymers are joined together, and then how this HDPE is spread at a waste management TSDF site. Then yes, another important point is leachate collection and treatment facility. Whatsoever the waste we have, ultimately these contain some of the moisture or may attract the moisture from during their disposal. But when we compact this leachate goes down and has to be collected and removed from this system using leachate collection and treatment facility. For this semi-perforated HDPE pipes are laid down directly over the primary and secondary liners and graded towards the collection sump as no less than that of 2% of the slope. A drainage layer 300 mm thick of graded sand gravels placed over the entire base of the landfill covering pipe network, so that ultimately this all the leachate gets collected in these pipes and moved to the collection sump. A geotextile over the primary liner serving the purpose of filter or barrier between the waste and the drainage media. The pipes have sufficient strength to withstand the load imposed by the overlaying waste and the earth moving activities associated. The secondary layer also acts as equivalent to leachate collection system. So these are the pipes used for the leachate pipes for collection of the leachate and transferring it to the sun. Then comes the surface water drainage system. The design of surface water drainage system includes a garland drainage system all around the landfill, which is lined and connected to a storm water collection sump. The surface water drainage system comprising of channels, drainage, and basins are designed to ensure to divert the rainwater running off slopes and outside landfill area so as to prevent entry into the landfill. Rain falling on the active tipping areas is collected separately as leachate via leachate collection drain and leachate collection pumps. Drain channels or drain constructed are able to accommodate settlement, resist erosion, and cope with localized storm conditions. So leachate collected are not intermixed at any stage of collection and storage. So this is a site showing a here a sump tank in the center with geotextile layer all over the facility, and at this point the landfill site is ready to receive hazardous waste. Basically the tests which are done are pressivity, reactivity, ignitability, toxicity, etc. So mainly plants are planted all around this for the reduction of noise, for cyclonic winds, etc. So this was a presentation that how in reality a waste TSDF facility or hazardous waste management facility is constructed, and how or by which process the waste is dumped there. So moving on to another part of my presentation, which is basically a hazardous waste scenario in India. And as I talked to earlier, that there are large number of contaminated sites in India, and if we talk about these in different states, then West Bengal is at number 1, Odisha is at number 2, then Uttar Pradesh and others. So there are large number of contaminated sites in India, mainly in West Bengal, Odisha. Then Gujarat is also one such state. So as I told you earlier that although we started in 2003 mainly after the guidelines of the Supreme Court, but in 2000, even in 2007, we were having TSDF facilities in almost all the states, but except few. These were Bihar, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, Goa, J&K, and Tamil Nadu, which now have come up in 2016 map. If we see now, this is almost built. So almost nowadays all the states in India have their own TSDF facilities. So this is a hazardous waste generation scenario in different states of India between 1990 to 2017. The data is very interesting, and for even some of the data, we don't have any answers. And if we see that Gujarat is having the highest share, and from 1999 to 2017, it has grown to almost 6 times. So this is the Gujarat has grown 6 times in the last 20 years, I will say, because it is a 2017 data. And then another is Maharashtra. But here you will see the hazardous waste quantity has drastically decreased. And although the data we have taken is from their respective pollution control board websites, but we are unable to, and even they are also unable to explain the main causes why this has reduced so sharply in Maharashtra. The other sites are Rajasthan, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Pondicherry is having very less. Delhi is a small state. Then percentage contribution of state to total national hazardous waste generation between 1997 to 2017. The data remained almost same in the percentage, also with the Gujarat and Maharashtra in the top, then Andhra Pradesh, Rajasthan, Tamil Nadu, Jharkhand, UP. Then another important data comes is of hazardous waste generating industries in different states of India. In Gujarat, the hazardous waste industries mainly increased up to the 2015, and after that these industries have changed their working style, they changed their technology and have come to the non-hazardous. That is one of the reasons that after that the number has decreased. The industrialization has also increased in Maharashtra. Karnataka is one of the upcoming state in this regard. Then talking about the different types of hazardous waste in different states of India. First one about the landfillable hazardous. Here Gujarat again tops, followed by Maharashtra and Rajasthan. So they mainly have landfillable hazardous waste, and same is the almost data for the incinerable hazardous waste in different states of India. Then recyclable hazardous waste. Here Gujarat tops, followed by Maharashtra. Then Odisha, Rajasthan, Andhra Pradesh. So basically these slides are also indicator of that how the industrialization or industrial facilities have grown from 1999 to 2017 in these states. And accordingly, if we talk about TSDF capacity in various states of India in 2007-8, so the capacity was highest with Gujarat, followed by Andhra Pradesh and Maharashtra. And as of 2016-17, secured landfill facilities highest with Karnataka for common incinerator. For integrated TSDF, Gujarat is at number 1. And for common secured landfill, again Gujarat is at number 1, followed by Rajasthan and Karnataka. So this is a year-wise comparison of TSDF sites in 2007-8 to 2016-17. Most of the states have their first landfill site not filled there, but some of the states are there where their TSDF sites are already filled with the waste and had been converted to post plan as per guidelines. Like Gujarat, we can see the number has reduced. Likewise, if we see in Karnataka, the new facility has come up. In case of Maharashtra, there may be 2 sites may have filled. That is why the number is less, and all other states are having almost the same number. And at few places there is no blue color along with yellow because these were not having TSDF facilities in 2007-8. So this is the recycling facility in ascending order for different states, with Maharashtra, Gujarat, UP at the top. So here is a complete chart showing for each state how many facilities are there. It may not be of much use for you. So with this all, I just conclude that we have come a long way starting from 2003 onwards, and now our entire country has TSDF facility. Although our entire country has TSDF facility, even then a large population or even large industrial section is there which still do not have access or knowledge of these TSDF facilities, which is one of the major cause that this waste is illegally dumped, and we many of the time are listening news like killing of fishes in the surface water bodies, or contaminated groundwater or soil, and so on. So there is a need to sensitize and to aware our people for the hazardous waste management and disposal rules, and informing them that now the facility exists with almost all the states, and the government also should have strict measures, strict implementation of the rules and regulations so that all industries follow the rules and dump their waste as per government norms or as per hazardous waste management and handling rules with the TSDF facilities. So thank you all for patiently listening me. Now it is open for discussion. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Sir, I have a question.
Hello.
Hello. Hello, sir.
Yes, sir, please.
Sir,
Hello.
good afternoon. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Sir, you explain about that is a hazardous waste. Now, sir, you
Yes.
are also told in your presentation that is about the sanitizer. So, sanitizer is also coming in the hazardous category.
Yes, ma'am. If it is in a like ethanol, if it is 100% pure ethanol, it is also in a hazardous category. Otherwise, hazardous is basically which can harm to us in any way. For example, in case of ethanol or your sanitizer, it can be easily burned. आपने कई बार अभी कई सारे लोगों से सुना होगा कि वो हाथ सैनिटाइज करके गैस पे कोई काम करने चले गए और एकदम से उनके हाथ मतलब आग ने फायर हैज कॉट द हैंड्स. So such many news are coming because it is a that is why we call it categorize it under a hazardous category. That is why nowadays it is used in a 70% mixed with 30% of the water and glycerol, so that this incident should reduce. But even then, it remains inflammable.
Okay.
And
So,
direct,
so 70,
it's a very good
70%, 70%, 70% ethanol. It is not coming in that hazardous category, sir.
No, ma'am, it is even then in a hazardous category.
Okay. So we are using that is some hazardous substances at our hand. So
Yes,
how
yes.
it will be safe for us?
It's a very interesting question. Actually, it is hazardous in terms of its physical and chemical characteristics. As far as biological is concerned, up to 70%, it kills the germs. If it is less than 70%, it will not kill the germs or will not kill the virus. But at the same time, yes, biologically it is harmful. If we are using much of sanitizer on our hands, it gets absorbed into our blood, and ethanol is one such substance which very easily get absorbed by our skin. And you all know wine and all these beers, all these have some 2% to 7% of the ethanol in them. So ethanol is definitely a hazardous substance.
Sir, okay,
Even
by
in
now,
70% also.
okay. So whatever now this COVID situation is going, so everybody is using now, not only in the India, in the abroad also we are using this one. So
Yes,
after sometimes after 2 to 3 years or after some years, so there may be some hazardous effect will be showing with
not
the
only
use of this one, or something
yes,
else is there.
yes, ma'am. Not only 2 3 years. Though the people who are highly using it, I have seen some of the people who are using it 15, 20, 30 times a day. Their skin has started whitening.
Okay,
स्किन का कलर चेंज होना शुरू हो चुका है हम लोगों की का.
okay,
And ultimately, although such studies are only very limited till now, these in long term may be carcinogenic and maybe any other harmful for our not only skin, for other problems these may also arise.
shall we replace something else?
The best is to wash your hands with soap, but this is not possible every time in markets or other things. But if we are at home, and then the best is to use to wash our hands with a good quality soap.
Okay, okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay, welcome.
सर गुड आफ्टरनून.
Good afternoon.
सर जो लीचेस होते हैं कार्सिनोजेनिक होते हैं, सर उनका ट्रीटमेंट कैसे करते हैं हम TSDF की साइड पे?
देखिए, मैंने आपको बताया था कि नीचे जियोलाइनर्स के बीच में देर आर फिल्ट्रेशन पाइप्स आर देयर एंड ऑल आर डाइवर्टेड टुवर्ड्स ए सम्प. जितना भी लीचेट उन पाइप्स के में इकट्ठा होता है, तो वो अल्टीमेटली उस सम्प के थ्रू उसको मतलब पंप आउट कर लिया जाता है, एंड देन अगेन इट इज ट्रीटेड इन ए एफ्लुएंट ट्रीटमेंट प्लांट. क्योंकि देखिए, अगर उसके अंदर मॉइस्चर या लीचेट या कुछ भी लिक्विड बचा रह गया, तो अल्टीमेटली वो धीरे धीरे जैसे जैसे कंपैक्ट होता जाएगा, इट विल लीच डाउन. सो
ओके
एनीबॉडी एल्स?
हेलो.
हाँ जी, हाँ जी सर.
हेलो.
हेलो.
Sir, my question is that the oil be replaced from the automobiles, mainly from the motorcycle and cars.
Yes.
Is it categorized as a hazardous waste?
Uh, it it is a hazardous waste, but it is not a waste because it most of the time one or the other or the third time it comes into use and ultimately converted into the some gaseous forms. Okay, but definitely if it is of no use, then it is a waste, and then it is dumped after stabilization.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
सर
Hello. हाँ जी.
सर सर जो लीचेट वाला था सर, उसमें सर दो आपने दो लेयर्स दिखाई थी, प्राइमरी और सेकेंडरी.
हाँ जी, हाँ जी, हाँ जी.
तो सर मतलब प्राइमरी में ही रुक जाएगा तो सेकेंडरी क्यों प्रोवाइड?
देखिए प्राइमरी में रुक
क्योंकि
जाएगा.
पानी को सील करने में बहुत टाइम लगेगा.
Secondary mainly acts as a leach detection system. अगर सेकेंडरी में जाके आपका ये आ रहा है तो इट मीन्स देयर इज सम लीकेज इन द योर प्राइमरी लेयर. So secondary basically we are using as a leaching detection system. Means there is some breakage in the primary system which is leading that it is moving down even to the secondary layer.
Okay.
Okay.
Hello.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, this is, one question is from the chat box. The question has been asked by the Mr. Shirdoor Khan. Is there any software for analysis of hazardous waste?
Sir, hazardous waste cannot be analyzed using software because it has mainly physico-chemical properties, physical and chemical properties. So it can be only analyzed using different instruments, either it is pH meter, your GCMS, AAS, depending on the type of your waste.
Okay. Thank you, sir. If any participant has any question regarding this topic. Okay, sir. There is another question in the chat box, sir. From Mr. Gurdeep Singh Bhagat, sir. Can we not reuse or recycle hazardous waste after sterilizing it so that landfilling can be avoided?
This is the primary facility. This is the primary thing which is being done. Nowadays, most of the no industry, whatsoever is usable for them, they do not want to dump it. Industries dump only the things which are of no use. This is the first thing, even by the TSDF facility, they try that if it is something recoverable or reusable, they try to sell it to the other ones for recovering or for such things. But if it is not possible, then only the waste is sent to the TSDF facility.
Any other question from participants, please?
Yes, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Sir, my question is regarding leachate only, and I wanted to know leachate must have heterogeneous composition because the hazardous things a lot of heavy metals and many things will be there.
Yes.
So I wanted to know what principle and what treatment technology that are actually using for the treatment of leachate so that it can be safe disposal.
Sir, when this leachate is pumped out basically in a effluent treatment plant.
Yes, sir.
Effluent treatment plant is a different facility other than this. In that, basically 2-3 types of facilities are used. One is the neutralization.
Neutralization, yes. Okay.
After neutralization, evaporation is another main technique used.
Okay, sir.
Evaporation with condensation. It is a technique in which whatsoever is in the form of water gets evaporated.
Yes.
If it is in some other form, then it is condensed and collected separately. And the leftover is always a solid material.
Yes, sir.
This solid material is again dumped in the TSDF site.
Yes.
Okay. And
okay, sir.
So one more question from Mr. Navneet Singh. We want to know about the stabilization mechanism, either encapsulation or immobilization.
देखिए exactly it depends on the properties of the waste. For example, in some cases we may mix some material like cement to stabilize it so that it is converted into a solid form, and while in other cases we may mix some material so that it becomes immobilized. So it depends basically on the you can say properties of the material, hazardous waste. So basically it is a mixing of different type of materials depending on the characteristics. For example, in case of encapsulation, we use the material gum dextrose or so that the liquid gets entrapped within this. So different, depending on the different type of different characteristics of the waste, different type of encapsulation materials or different type of techniques are used.
So one more question from Siddharth Gurdeep Singh Bagga. Is there any technical method to repair the containment of hazardous waste if containment get damaged or deteriorated by natural agents?
I couldn't understand, ma'am. Can you repeat, please?
Is there any technical method to repair the containment of hazardous waste if containment get damaged or deteriorated by natural agents?
Mainly, neutralization is the first process we use, and there is no other method other than finally dumping it to the TSPF site. At place of its origin, they can maximum do its neutralization, but you cannot change its entire physico-chemical properties.
Okay, sir. So one more question.
How can autoclave and hydroclave method help in disposal of hazardous waste?
Okay, autoclave method is basically used in case of biological hazards like bacteria, viruses, etc. To kill these germs, or autoclaving or this technique is used. Not in case of chemicals, autoclaving is used. And we are here talking about mainly about the physico-chemical characteristics or the materials which are hazardous in nature. एक ऑटोक्लेविंग था, दूसरा क्या बोला था इन्होंने?
Hydroclave. Hydroclave. CLAVE.
Sir, it's hydroclave.
The question is in the chat box.
देखता हूँ कि क्या है चैट.
Question is from Mr. Mithun Das.
So both autoclave and hydroclave are for the biologicals, not for hazardous wastes.
So one more question from Navneet Singh. Explain the mechanism of leachate formation, like its composition in hazardous waste. Mechanism of leachate formation, like its composition in hazardous waste.
The leachates are either already present within the hazardous waste whenever it is transported from the industry, or these may absorb moisture from the air during their transportation, or even sometimes rain and other things also lead to addition of water in this, and all this after reaction it becomes leachate.
बट सर हम जो हमारे TSDF की साइट होती है सर, उसके ऊपर हम नॉन इम्परमेएबल लेयर का कोटिंग करते हैं ना?
सर वो तो करते हैं, लेकिन ड्यूरिंग ट्रांसपोर्टेशन एंड उसके दौरान तो ये सारी चीजें पॉसिबल है ना, या पीछे से इंडस्ट्री से भी उसके अंदर प्रेजेंट हो सकता है।
ओके, लिक्विड वेस्ट हो सकता है, ठीक है सर, थैंक यू सर।
ओके, थैंक यू ऑल।
Sir, one more question from chat group. Mr. Mithun Raskare is asking that what are the steps involved in hazardous waste management?
What are the
steps involved in hazardous waste management?
मैंने पीपीटी में कई बार दिखाया कि देर आर मेनली 3 methods hazardous waste management. One is incineration, one is direct dumping, and third one is dumping after stabilization. These are the mainly 3 methods.
Sir, I was asking about suppose there is an industry, and
Yes.
from industry the industry can produce many types of waste, you know. So, sir, what are steps involved in case of industry produce hazardous waste?
सर आपकी आवाज क्लियर नहीं आ रही है। सर आवाज क्लियर नहीं आ रही।
और मिथुन सर, you can write your question in the chat box.
किस नाम से है क्वेश्चन?
These are actually the question sir will write us in the chat box now.
चैट में है क्या क्वेश्चन आपका ये?
आने वाला है सर, चैट में हमको भेज दिया।
Mr. Mithun Das, you can write your query in the chat box.
Okay, here it is sir. Sir, you can check in chat box sir.
Last question.
नहीं सर,
लास्ट क्वेश्चन नहीं, मुझे नहीं यहाँ दिख रहा।
ओके सर, आई कैन सी सर।
आप मुझे मेल कर दीजिएगा और मैसेज कर दीजिए सुखदीप जी, मैं आई विल राइट इट्स में आंसर एंड सेंड इट बैक। ओके,
लेटर ऑन सर। सर, क्वेश्चन इज इन केस ऑफ इंडस्ट्री,
हाँ,
what are the steps involved in management of hazardous waste in case of industry?
सर industries follow the ISO 14000 for their processes, and they use the 3R mechanism: reuse, refurbish, and recycle for the management. But whatsoever they are unable to manage, then they send it to the TSDF facility.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Is there any another question from participants?
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Is there any another query from any participant, please?
Okay, very good and effective session. So thank you so much, sir, for sparing your valuable time and sharing your sincere knowledge on the topic hazardous waste with all of us. Thank you, sir. I also wish to thank all the participants for their participation and patient hearing and very effective session. So that's all from this second day of 5-day FDP on waste technology. Tomorrow we will meet again at 10 a.m. for the day T of 5-day FDP. Thank you so much. God bless you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.